Okay. Well, that actually leads me into my next question. What is your channel about, and what was your motivation to start a channel in the first place?
So what the channel is about. The channel I cover is a couple different things I cover on the channel. For one, I cover hip hop news. Anything hip hop news, anything going viral that's trending that's in hip hop, I cover it. I'll make videos on it, right? Talk about it. Also, just black culture in general. It could be sports, it could be boxing, it could be what black culture in general. I also cover on the channel. Recovery and addiction. Do videos definitely on that. That was one of the big reasons for starting the channel. Was I was strictly just gonna do content on that, right? Also, I cover national news, especially black national news. Um, if there's something in the news that I think that needs to be brought attention to, I'll make a video on it. I'll speak about it, right? And this is the great thing about YouTube is that it gives a voice to people who were in the past voiceless, right? This is the good side of social media, that we could come on here, record something, go live, and really have a voice and really get out our thoughts, our feelings, our opinions, or our issues that we're having in our community or just in America or the world in general. That's what I love about YouTube, right? And it connects people from all over the world. It shocks me even when I go live on live streams and I got people from Ireland, people from Greenland, people from Australia saying that they in the chat, they're watching, right? It blows my mind that we can connect so easily, right? So quick. Then I also cover, in a way, Black history. I like to cover people that changed the world, right? I do some videos on Akhenaten. He was the pharaoh in Egypt. He was the only pharaoh to believe in one God in a time where, for years and years, thousands of years before him and after him, they always believed in multiple gods. He changed everything. He changed the art. He changed religion. He changed the politics. He changed the capital, which would be like if the president got in office and he was like, you know what, D.C., Washington, D.C., nah, that's not about to be our capital of America, of USA, right? The Youngstown, Ohio, or Cleveland, Ohio. That's what that would be like, that, and that's what he did. But the only difference is he picked a place that was totally deserted. There was no houses, no buildings, nothing. He found a spot that his God inspired him to go out and find, right? That he found. And he built up a whole city, a palace, temples, everything from scratch, from nothing. So he changed the way pharaohs and queens and children and their children were depicted in the art and in the release, right? He was the pharaoh that showed that family life, him holding his daughters, him with his wife, and he made his queen, his wife, who was Nefertiti, he really made her like a co-king, a co-queen, right? She was like she wasn't below him and she wasn't above him. He really held her in a high esteem. Nefertiti and Akhenaten is the famous pharaoh King Tut. King Tut, that's his dad. Akhenaten is King Tut's dad, right? So changed the world, changed everything. And he's also the very first person that we have archaeological proof that believed in one God, right? We have the Bible and all that, right? And that's supposed to be the word of God, supposed to be historical, but there's no actual artifacts, right, from like Moses, or there's no statues of Moses or his thoughts written down in stone like that. We have that in Akhenaten. He is the first person in history that we have proof of that believed in one God. So I do videos on him. People like Tupac, revolutionaries who changed the world, Malcolm X. So yeah, that's what I cover on the channel. But what motivated me to start a channel, I used to watch, for like 10 years, I probably watched more YouTube than I do TV. So for years and years, I was in the comic books. For years and years, I would watch all these comic book podcasts where it'd be 2, 3, or 4 guys sitting around in a room or on FaceTime talking about comic books, right? And so I started to learn, oh, this is a podcast. I started getting into other podcasts, academics, Joe Button, all these people, right? All these Joe Rogan, all these podcasts, right? And I always thought, like, man, this would be cool. This would be cool to do. This would be something that I would be into doing, right? Always thought about it for years and years. Never tried it though. And so what I thought I would make content on was going to be comic books, because that's what at the time, that's what I thought I was most knowledgeable in, because I read comics all the time. I had been reading them for years. So when I got clean this last time, I had like a month clean maybe, and I started to think about, like, all right, I want to make a channel. What am I gonna make it about? And at first, I thought of comic books, but I was like, man, that's a little bit too niche, and I'm really starting to get away from reading comics as much as I did in the past. So I'm like, okay, what am I knowledgeable about? What do I have experience and knowledge of? I got life experience, right? And I definitely got experience in recovery. I'm 38. I've been using since I was 14, a teenager. And I've been trying to get clean ever since I was probably 23. So that's like 15 years that I've been in and out of rehabs, jails, detoxes, outpatients, all this stuff, right? And I started to gain knowledge and learn like the ins and outs. I mean, I can tell you, I know more about recovery probably than people that went to school for it, to be honest, because I lived it and I learned it by being in so many rehabs. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start doing it stuff on recovery, all right. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, hold on, but I got a lot of knowledge on. I read a lot of books. I got a lot of knowledge on ancient history, Black history, American history, just life experience in general, right? So I'm like, okay, I really want to make I want it to be more than just recovery. I want it to be really a man, right? And so my channel it's really not just a channel. It's really a lifestyle. It truly is. And it's me 100%. Like, what you see is what you get. What I say in my videos and in my content, that's how I actually feel. And that's one thing recovery has taught me, is that I have to present my true self to the world 100% of the time, all day, every day. Because if I don't, it could lead me to relapse. In the past, the reason why I kept relapsing, I would get clean, right? A couple months go by, I go right back out, I'd relapse. Or I get a year in, like I just had last year, go right back out. And the reason for that is because, for one, I didn't tell people when I was struggling. I didn't tell people when I had thoughts to use or cravings to use. I would keep it to myself. I was one of those kids that, growing up, that I didn't want nobody to see me sweat, right? So I would always try to present myself like I was okay, even though internally something might have been bothering me, and I would hold it in until I self-destruct and do something stupid or crazy or have an outburst, right? I learned through just living and doing that for so long and talking with counselors and in rehabs that that's not healthy. I can't do that, and that leads to relapse. Because if I don't ask nobody for help, then I can't get help, and I'm gonna relapse, right? So I had to learn to be truthful, to always speak the truth. Every time I talk, I want the truth to come out every time. If I don't, I can literally lose my life, because just one time, if I use one time, it could be the end that day. With the stuff that's out here, God bless the dead. Rest in peace to all the sick and suffering souls that lost their life. I've had friends, family members, right, fall to this disease. And I got 4 kids. You see, one's right there, my youngest. I want to be around for them. Another thing recovery taught me, and why I wanted to do this, is it really is like a journal, right? My channel is like a journal into my thoughts, feelings, and opinions on a whole bunch of subjects, a whole bunch of issues, right? And it's really a legacy I'm leaving for my kids. Like when I'm gone, or when they get older and they want to be like, hey, I wonder how my dad felt about this, or I'm going through this. I wonder what my dad would say, or how do I get through this, or how do I do what happens when this happens, right? They can go they can go back and look, and I'll have something that will probably pertain to what they're going through. So that's another reason. It's really I really want to. I had a lot of thoughts, a lot of like when you first get sober, right? First get clean, you got a rush of emotions, feelings, thoughts, opinions that you just want to get out, right? And counseling has helped me a lot. With my channel, and making the content that I make, the type of content I make, it allows me to do that, and it also allows me to reach a whole bunch of people that I would never get the chance to reach to or talk to before. So I wanted to make something that would last and something that was real, right? And also what recovery has gave me and taught me is that it gave me a confidence that I never had before, just in general, right? A humble confidence, right? Because I'm grateful for everything, grateful to wake up every day, literally just grateful to wake up every day. I've been through homelessness, depression, jail, like the worst of the worst, right? From in the gutter, life in the gutter, mind spiritually in the gutter. One thing that recovery gave me though was the ability to express myself and say exactly how I'm feeling, because in the past I couldn't even talk in front of like a room full of 5 people. I'd be scared, I'd be all nervous, stuttering, doing all doing all that nervous. I had like a fear of public speaking, right? Well, from going in and out of rehabs, and all you do is sit in a room, whether it's 5 people or 30, and you got to talk. From doing that years and years and years and years for years, right? I finally got over that fear. And not only did I get over that fear, I also learned that I actually like speaking publicly, right? I went a whole 180 on it. I went from being a shy, mostly quiet kid to as a grown man, and it took, like, even in my 20s I was like this. Not until I got into my 30s where I got more wisdom, was learning from life, from getting beat down, from consequences that was happening to me. I finally was able to learn to like think before I act, and think before I talk, and really think about who I want to be. And when I asked myself who I wanted to be, I wasn't the person who I wanted to be. So I wanted to change that. And this is just another part of it. It helps my recovery. It helps my mental, everything. And going to counseling, that also helped it too. So yeah, my motivation is to change the world, to be honest. Change the world. Pac said, look, we might not be the ones to change the world, but we might spark the brain of someone who, he said, I guarantee I will spark the brain of someone who will change the world. And I believe that wholeheartedly. He inspired me to just want to be the best version of me, right? Because I take from Pac the genuineness, the authenticity. Like, he was himself, regardless of what situation, whatever he spoke, I felt it was coming from his heart, right? He was able to speak from his heart. I felt like it was real, it was genuine. And that's what I strive to do. Akhenaten has a saying, it's called living in Ma'at, right? The ancient Egyptians had this saying, Akhenaten had this saying, and this was his goal in life, living in Ma'at. Ma'at translates to truth, so living in truth. And that's my goal. That's been my goal for years, right? I just wasn't able to attain it until now. I don't like none of that fake stuff around me. I don't put on masks for different people. Like, what you see is what you get, and that's what it is.